Hello, dreamers. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time watching or listening, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Livin The Dream 506. Share it. Tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. Everything helps. So thanks, at the very least, for just being here.
My guest today is the lead singer and guitar player for The Slip, as well as the BARR Brothers, and his new solo album, A Winter Mission, is out now. So check that out, and please give it up for Brad BARR.
Taste of Jessica.
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing very well. Extremely cold in Montreal today.
Is that where you are?
Yeah. Where are you?
New Brunswick.
All right.
Close to St. John.
Yeah, I bet it's cold there too, ish.
It's very cold here, right? Like today, yeah.
Yeah, minus 35, I think. That's what they say.
I don't think we're that cold right now.
Yeah, this is.
That's what you got, eh?
It's pretty severe. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not, yeah, every winter feels like my first winter in Canada. Remember.
And, that's true. Especially the last couple of years, we've had some pretty not cold and they haven't been typical Atlantic Canada winters, really. Like it's been mostly like wet winters.
That's what I would have thought anyway, just because I grew up in in Rhode Island where it's wet. It's not, right. It's never cold like this.
Close to the ocean, you get the milder winters.
Yeah. Yeah. Inside chill, I guess. Or like, I don't know, the humid chill.
Right.
Nothing a hot shower won't fix. I shaved. I realized I wasn't sure if this was an audio or video recording, so I shaved anyway.
Nice. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So Montreal, how are things in Quebec right now? It's
probably depends who you ask. Like for me, we were just talking about that. For like my wife and I, for us, the hardest thing is watching our son, who's 7 years old, have to the solitude that he has to go through. I think about like teenagers, like people kind of in that coming of age period when they're 16, 17, 18, when for me it was all about going to see live shows, going, just wherever with a group of people, so that must suck for them. For me, married, I've gotten, lots of my kicks out. I've had, certainly several lifetimes of going out and having fun. I'm at peace with it and find a lot of solace and satisfaction in just going to our studio, working down there, occasionally seeing some friends, once every couple weeks. But yeah, if you look at the numbers, it looks bad. Or at least overwhelming for the hospitals. I don't know. I like whatever anyone's position is on this thing. I like taking up the other side just to learn more about, just to kind of push things a little to the edge. And I don't know. It hasn't really helped me as I'm still, it's still, yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. I have an 11-year-old, so he's going through the same things with like, he's not allowed to play hockey right now. He's not allowed to play basketball right now. He's not allowed to go to school right now.
Son of a bitch.
And similar to you, I'm at home. I've got my girlfriend here, and 50% of the time I've got my son here with me. So I don't need to go out to enjoy my life. That's actually, I prefer to be home with my family and to do those things. But I was coaching hockey, so spending that time was important to my son and myself. So losing that is tough, and definitely losing live music is tough because that is sort of what I do for this. And that was, any of my spare time is usually spent trying to travel and go to live music. And as the Northern Lights show, a week before March 2020, like a week before everything locked down, I was packing to go to Iceland for a 3-night concert, and then going on to do some more European travels for the first time ever. And so that hit hard, but like you said, that's not as hard on me as it is on the healthcare workers, like you said. And a lot of people have suffered a lot more than having to miss recreation. But
yeah,
it's definitely hard on the kids. That's the hardest part. Like you said, when you were a teenager, that's what you were doing to kind of grow. And especially for our younger kids, there's no way to know how this affects a child right now, right?
Yeah. Try and look at the positive. They'll become more comfortable being alone.
Right.
And all of this is to say nothing of I was another debate I had with someone where I was like, who got it the worst? And I was like, man, the teenager, someone who just got their license and had tickets to the, all these concerts they wanted to go see. And she was like, well, what about the old folks who are dying, who can't see their family? And it's like, yeah, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue when death is on the line. So I guess, but yeah, like you said, since you asked how it's going here, I'd say everyone I talk to is in pretty good spirits, starting to, I think the most sort of brooding issue for me is, have I actually become acclimated to solitude in a way that even when it's not necessary, as far as the health system says, am I going to feel as compelled to go out, or did this just get sort of pounded into me to the point where I'm like institutionalized, as they say in Shawshank Redemption?
I feel the same way. Like, we've been fairly lucky in New Brunswick. Like, the first year of the pandemic didn't touch us. things remained open. We had like basically 0 cases for pretty much a year. Like it really was not, it wasn't here that we didn't feel what was going on in the world. And I noticed during that time, certain like drive-through shows started to come back, and people started to try to have smaller gatherings and just like slowly build back towards a normal. And I felt the same way, where it's like, I almost don't want to participate in before life anymore. And it,
Yeah, that's a little
affected
scary, huh?
psychologically, for sure.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see what your perspective was too, like as a performer, where you're like, your job is to be in those situations that have been taken away from us, and especially in Quebec, where they have curfews and they seem fairly strict on like the government side of things. It's just almost frightening of what's going to become of the late night entertainment industry.
Well, I consider myself lucky. I got to do a little dose of live music and a little tour with our band, The Slip, which was, I'm guessing you're familiar with it only because one of the only scenes in Canada that knew of The Slip was in New Brunswick. So,
I cut my teeth on The Slip.
Okay, nice. What was it? The Evolve Fest kind of? That was Nova Scotia. But...
Yeah, Evolve was some of the great experiences with The Slip. Personally, was Sunseeker. Do you remember Sunseeker Fest?
I do.
Like Kingston Peninsula. That was like probably one of the most formative musical experiences of my life, because that was right when I was first getting into the scene.
Was that the one? Was Buck 65 and Kid Koala also on that?
Buck 65 for sure. Blue Quarter.
Yeah.
And I think Blue Quarter and The Slip that year, like the 2 main headliners. That was an incredible year for sure.
I just remember the ride from the airport to the festival. I don't remember much else, but I remember being in the car with Buck 65, Rich, and Eric, Kid Koala, meeting those guys for the first time.
Yeah.
Not knowing what their profile was, having no idea, thinking, it's Canada. There's these guys, they don't really have huge artists in Canada, do they? I mean, feeling like I actually refreshingly could like talk to them because I had no idea what amazing artists and kind of larger than life personas they are. It was a very like relaxed, easygoing, human to human conversation. Otherwise, I've been known to get kind of tongue tied around, people that I really admire and respect. So I'm glad I did not admire or respect either of them. That's the way that I do now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those were incredible times, and very small, intimate festivals. All my experiences with The Slip have been real close to home, just like an hour away. Like even at, I think the bar was called Neptune's in St. John. And you guys just played a headlining show there one night. That's one of the most ingrained memories of my young music life growing up. I was just like I was a teenager, probably not even in my 20s at that point.
This would have been like 2000, 2001?
Yeah, maybe? Very early 2000s.
Here's where in the podcast you cut to the audio
I would love to.
of the Slip playing at Neptune's. Yeah, I do remember that spot. Pool tables?
Yeah, I believe so. Like on the bar side of things. Yep.
Second floor or maybe not.
No, this one was a first floor. And
first floor, okay.
I mean, like I can still hear even rats ringing in my ears. Like that.
Oh, then it would have been later. then it would have been more like 2006.
Oh, really?
If it was even rats, yeah, then it would have been
Yeah.
05, 06.
Yeah. Okay. So that show would have been, yeah. Sunseeker, I believe, was earlier 2000s.
I think so. Well, all to say, we got to do a run of shows at the Slip. It feels really good right now. I don't know if you're a musician out there who's used to playing on the road, used to playing live shows, and you've been holding off from doing so for whatever reason. I recommend playing a show, even if it's really small capacity. And to some degree, we did those Slip shows, and the turnout was great, and it was really fun to play. Just felt like just so dialed in. I don't know, so appreciated by ourselves and the people. And then a few weeks ago, I did a solo show with the music from the upcoming record, The Winter Mission, that instrumental music, for 20 people, and that felt great. If you're a musician wondering whether to go play a show, I'd say go do it, because it feels really, really good after not doing it for a couple years. You know, you just, even if it's like a house concert for 10 people, I feel like there's something gained from the restraint we've shown, holding off.
It's like you said, like you start to feel institutionalized. It's been so long and it's been so mentally taxing that you forget what you did and why you loved it. And a simple show is a huge reminder of those emotions and those feelings that the reason you do it, the whole thing.
It's true. And we have to be careful, because identity is kind of what, drives us towards doing that. They're doing it in the first place. And yeah, why I say it was my one sort of brooding concern, is that our identities might start to shift as well. I'm someone who just like to hang out at home and work on the computer and, FaceTime with people. It's like, well, hopefully that doesn't get too ingrained. So yeah, I remain conscious. And to tell you the truth, I was actually quite nervous to do the solo show. I even tried to think of ways to get out of it. I remember booking it. It was at my friend's space, and they're actually about to close down, close up shop. I imagine mostly due to the fact that business has not been thriving. So I said, well, I want to play here. One just a show to sort of signify the space and what you guys did. And realized, I had to sort of push myself, because the next day I was like, what am I doing? Don't call him up and cancel that. And even up until a week before, I was thinking how I could get out of it, because I was like, how am I going to do this? Be up there. And then I did it, and it was magical. It wasn't perfectly played, but it was magical.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's weird, the introverted side of us kind of taking a bit of control these days.
Yeah, thrives.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, in some ways I feel like, I've been wondering just how much I actually do enjoy it. We're all, anyway, same thing, same concept.
When you say that, what do you mean? Enjoyed playing music?
No, enjoy being isolated, having an excuse to isolate. I remember right away thinking, I've been sort of preparing for this, with having our own studio. I guess having a kid, you kind of start to see people less and less, or some of us do, go out less and less. And, with my studio, I ended up, even before the pandemic, kind of just going there, working all day, coming home, cooking dinner, putting everyone to bed, watching a movie. So I felt like I've been kind of prepping for this pandemic lockdown for a while, and it kind of suits me, which I think is what you're saying also. It's like, just how much So yeah, and that, that could be true, but I know that it's really good for me and for people to, get out there, see folks. I mean, every time you go and hang out with some people in the, recent days, you're like, why? Oh man, it's great to see. It's like, feels really good. Let's do this. Can we do this like once a week? It is, so yeah, got to sort of fight against a certain impulse to a conditioning.
Yeah, definitely. Has it affected your writing in any way? Like you said, you kind of already had the infrastructure built for your recording and things like that. So the only thing that really changed was the external forces. And has that really taken a toll on the writing process?
Man, it's hard to say. Like I actually, one of the things that happened early on with back in spring of 2020, it seemed almost like parallel with the lockdown, but a lot of people started coming to us asking for music for this or that project. A bunch of stuff suddenly came through, and I found myself really busy. And it was writing, and actually it was writing, like some of it was kind of jingle oriented. Some of it was kind of cheap, but most of it was actually pretty compelling and challenging stuff. So I did end up writing a lot, but as far as BARR Brothers or music, songwriting, it's been a real, like, in my mind, just kind of patient, slow accumulation. Here's what I realized. In the past, we've always sort of considered the live show. Here's my sort of excuse or justification, or at least trying to solve why maybe it's taking longer. Because we have been writing and recording demos. We've got probably 20, 25 demos for what, we will be a new record. We're trying to finish them, figure out, problem solve all the songs, figure out what collection of songs. But in the past, we've always sort of informed these decisions with the idea of a live show, of a tour, of a band that's going to play together. And I dawned on me recently why it's been kind of difficult to like figure out what to present. It's like, I'm not really sure what a live show is going to look like. We've been talking about trying to conceive of a small capacity outdoor venue tour with a more immersive sound experience, a more kind of surround experience, a more texturalized, almost museum, but still kind of gauche and crumbling. But what the context of the live show is going to be definitely informs us, even if it's subconsciously. So while I have been writing, and there is a BARR Brothers record in there somewhere, it's been less clear to us like what that next batch of music is going to look like. I assume because it's harder to imagine what live shows are going to look like. That's yeah, and I guess it's been making music has been different lately. I mean, the solo record I made, I finished. I don't know. I basically finished it late winter last year, 2021. But it had been something I'd been working on, and writing alone became just a sort of like anything else. I became just very used to it, where before we'd kind of go in and write as a band. But also just working on some of this other music, a little bit more ambient, a little more patient, and just different than what we're used to. It definitely brought in elements that we're still trying to sort of understand, and approaches and directions that we're still trying to wrap our heads around. So a lot of simmering.
Yeah. I like the word patient and ambient that you're saying. Like I really found that with the BARR Brothers live show. Very immersive and very dynamic, and just like it's an experience from front to back. And I think that's kind of what you alluded to, like knowing how the live show is going to be when you write it. That's how it feels to me anyway. When like the last time I saw you guys was in Fredericton, just I think it was the Charlotte Arts Center. It's just a really small, really intimate show.
It's like almost like an old schoolhouse kind of thing. Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and I just found that just like very patient, very immersive, and just the ups and downs, and then absolute silence. And that was a good venue for it too, because everybody there, I think, knew what to expect and was familiar with your music. So at the peaks and at the real low valleys, everybody respected those silences.
I remember that.
Oh, it's so powerful, and I just don't know how. I really respect that way of writing and the ability to pull that off in a live setting, and the respect it needs from the audience that you earn, and that just it made me speechless. It was one of the highlights of music that I've seen you play. And I mean, like I said, I've been a fan, and I'm babbling about it, but I've been a fan since I first started going to live music in my early teenage years. And it's been the Slip, and then the BARR Brothers, and Surprise Me, Mr. Davis, and the whole collection, right? So it's just, it's fun to watch the progression. It's fun to see the different projects and the different, just the influences and the different ways you can write for the Slip, and then for the BARR Brothers, and then your solo album that I listened to a clip from, I think it's Cleveland, Ohio is the clip that you just released.
Yeah.
It's like a 5/8 timing.
Yeah.
It's just, I love it. I just love I love your writing style. I love every project, and I love just hearing all the different influences and different genres that you're able to convey.
That's very kind of you, man. I didn't know I was speaking with someone who had that much history with us. So and thank you for that. Yeah, as you know, we've, like you said, you kind of alluded to it. Like I like to think we've cultivated a certain respect with the audience, a give and take thing where, and we're lucky that way. We've also stuck to our guns as far as how we present the music, and the volumes, just being able to do the whole range of things. Cultivated a certain the audience that we are fortunate enough to see come to our shows. I feel like it's been a patient developing. It's not we've never had success, the kind of success that brings a lot of people that don't know what is it, just some a hype thing. That would be cool. but yeah, so our audience is, like you said, they come there at least knowing that it might take a bit of effort. It might take as much sort of listening on their part as it does on our part up there playing. So that's cool. I thank you, and for and each person is a part of that too. You came to the shows back then. Next time you brought a few friends. You told them, like, whatever, guys, just maybe the singing's not so great, but wait till they get to the instrumental part. We're lucky that way. And and also we've been quiet for, I mean, Queens of the Breakers, I still think that's our new record. It's like, it'll be 5 years this November. So that's a while to keep people waiting. I mean, yeah, that's half the Beatles' career gone by without releasing a record,
Right.
So all to say, yeah, we know we're on it.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear more. You released a few singles, I believe, in the last year.
Yeah. We put out stuff. We also set up a Patreon page.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're on that or not. We've been putting up a lot of stuff on that.
I saw some B-sides.
Yeah.
From an older album. I forget which one now, but
yeah.
I remember
I
seeing
think some Sleeping Operator sessions. I just found a hard drive from the Queens of the Breakers stuff with all these like early versions of songs that I thought I should put those up there, like the first version of Queens of the Breakers, which is just an entirely different thing, different lyrics, different. But I think my favorite stuff we released was the Red Moth Solar Companion, the instrumental outtake from the Queens of the Breakers stuff. Like it just like literally set up, turn things on, and start playing, and that came out. But I'm glad you noticed that we've been releasing some singles, because it's hard to get any. It's hard to know if anyone noticed.
Right.
I'll put it up there, and a week later I'll check, and it's like, okay, there's 3 comments and some hearts on that. Okay.
Yeah.
What do I know?
That's the industry now, eh? It's
hearts and comments.
It's all about hearts and comments and the attention, but it's come and go. It's you release it, and the attention's that day, and then you're old news the next day.
The comments are great. I like reading comments and trying to respond. It's really just me. I just don't know quite how to interpret a lot of it. I don't like things on the internet. If this is an audio recording, I use quotes there. So not doing that myself, I don't really necessarily pay attention. Actually, yeah. The truth is, it's kind of like you said, I don't really. One thing I've learned is to keep my expectations low, keep my hopes high, my standards high and my hopes high, but my expectations kind of low, I guess, only because that seems like the best way to not get disappointed. By expectations, I just mean like expectations, doesn't mean I'm cynical. I'm actually, I think, more optimistic than I should be. But
one thing I wanted to ask you about, just as a refresher, knowing that I was going to get to talk to you, I just checked out your Wikipedia, and one thing I didn't know was that you played with Land of Talk back on Fun and Laughter back in 2009.
My brother was actually the drummer on most of that. I think Bucky Wheaton might have played on like half of it, but I think because Andrew was the touring drummer in Land of Talk for a while, and I believe that was the record. I walked into the studio to say hi. They're like, "Oh, man, do you want to take a guitar solo?" Like, yeah, sure. They're like, "What do you got?" They just handed me like some, Jaguar or something. I think I spent all of 10 minutes. I maybe did it once, maybe twice, and it was done. If that's what you're referring to, it's like kind of a crazy, quick shredding solo. That
what was the name of the track? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Right. There's only
It's a 4-track EP, 16 asterisk, May You Never, As Me, and a series of small flames.
Damn. Shame on me. I should know. I should know Lizzie's repertoire better than that. I don't.
Lizzie Powell, the lead singer of Land of Todd.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah, she is something else. Yeah, she's been sort of my go-to when I think of like what's the voice I want on this track. It's always Lizzie. She did the album shows we did. She was what we did 3-night runs in the Montreal. What did we do? Montreal, Toronto, and San Francisco, I think. And she came and sang with us. She would open the shows and sang with us. And she also babysat my son for a bunch of years. She was not because she needed work, but just because she really likes hanging out with kids. She likes dancing. She has a whole other Instagram page that's just her, where she just puts her dance videos.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I don't know.
Track that down.
I don't know the name of the whatever the name of that Instagram thing, but she does it, and yeah, and she and my son we share videos. I'll take videos of him. They would dance together. That's what they did. She'd come over and dance with my son. So, and yeah, and she's just kind of I'm just in awe of the way she writes. She doesn't know what tuning she's in. She doesn't know what key she's in. She puts a capo on. She turns the tuning pegs to where it feels like a thing. She gets it open, and then she just starts moving and just starts moving these around. And then it's like, okay, that's where and that's how she writes. It's all feel.
No theory.
It's all feel.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's
how I should write. That's how I should do it.
Yeah, they're incredible. I've seen them a few times. I caught them on tour with War on Drugs, and yes, Lizzie's incredible. I just saw the connection, and I knew your brother drummed on one of the albums for sure, and I knew he played he was the touring drummer for a bit. I wasn't sure how much or like the details, but
Cloak and Cipher maybe was the
I think so. I think that was the right before the EP maybe that you played on.
Yeah,
I remember. Cloak and Cipher was 2010, and Summer Lakes was 2008. So it would have been that right around that time frame for sure.
Yeah, I think that was the one. Cloak and Cipher for sure, and then maybe Applause, Cheer, Boo, Hiss. I think that's the one I played on.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well,
See if anything sparks a memory.
I'll go search the internet, figure out which one I played on if I got credited.
Nice.
I might have told him to put a different name down. Or no, you said you saw my name. Yeah. Cool. I'm glad she came up in this interview.
That's cool.
That means we're on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know the Slip's got some shows coming up in 2022. Is it shows, or I just saw like High Sierra, I believe?
Yep, and then I think we'll do a couple more West Coast shows while we're out there. And then I remember the end of the last tour, the Slip tour in November, which was like 8 or 9 shows in a 2-week period. I remember thinking this would be cool to do this annually, just a week or 2 run of shows.
Yeah.
Just make it an annual thing. Because it was really fun to play. It was really fun to play with the Slip. For those of you that don't know, it's a trio, myself, my brother Andrew, and a bass player, Mark Friedman. We started the band when we were maybe 18, 19, even younger. I think Andrew and Mark were 16, I was 18. And sort of out of Boston, kind of all through the 90s, end of the 90s and first half of the 2000s. Very kind of prog rock, but still, I don't really know how to describe it. Lots of improvisation, more kind of jazzy, I guess, than the BARR Brothers ever was. But and then we stopped playing around 2007, just, going through a kind of, Andrew and I moved to Montreal, and but also the Slip was having kind of an identity crisis. Like, we did not want to be called a jam band. We didn't want to be associated in the jam band scene. We were just kind of resented that. We weren't cool enough to be an indie rock band on the sort of, new train of indie rock with Modest Mouse and Built to Spill and all the, cool bands. And we just were like, kind of in a no man's land and trying to, I remember me trying to figure out what to write, like how to write, what this band was, trying to impose a bunch of things on it. And then we just stopped. And to get back together on this tour without any of that baggage, where it was just letting the thing be letting it do what it always did best, was really refreshing. I don't know why I went down that road, other than to say, to tell people what the Slip was, if they didn't know, if they're here because of the BARR Brothers and are wondering. But the lines were very clear for a while too, like the Slip, the BARR Brothers, Surprise Me, Mr. Davis, which was our collaboration with Nathan Moore, the Slip and Nathan Moore. Very clear back then. And now I'm kind of happy to say that it's all a little blurrier, and the repertoire can kind of, not that we have appropriated it in the different projects, the repertoire basically stays the same, but it could mix up. I think the BARR Brothers has gotten a little, we've just let our sort of improvisation and freak out jamming roots come out more over the years. I find the Slip has been able to, when our shows were, it was just kind of more restrained and had the parts where it needed to just lock into a song, could do that. So yeah, happy to say it's all evolving in a nice way. And I feel like personally just getting better than I feel like I am more satisfied than I ever was. But that could be an old guy looking back, In no way Keith Richards is going to convince you that the new Stones record is better than Let It Bleed, but he'll try.
Right. Yeah. Well, that said, like, is there going to be a new album for the Slip and BARR Brothers? Like, are we getting new music from both?
Definitely, I think the BARR Brothers is more. It's a little more urgent. It's a little more. It's necessary for us creatively, and just to keep that. I mean, the Slip, it's been longer. Obviously, the Slip probably is more due for a record to come out, but I think as far as our creative process goes, we have to get a BARR Brothers record out before that happens. There is this sort of lost Slip record from around 2009 that we keep talking about. Let's just like the mixes. There are all these rough mixes that we can't even begin to locate the original sessions that they were recorded. So, there's like, just a lot of rough, a lot of rough mixes, which, like really rough. But it would probably be appreciated and a good gesture, and maybe a healthy thing for us to do also, to just put it out there instead of sitting on it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Was any of it ever performed live?
Yeah, some of it. I think you probably wouldn't be able to find it on a bootleg, just because I think the only time we did was our last tour, which is a 4-day run in 2009 or 10.
Yeah.
But songs like Broke the Promised Land, The Reverse Blues, Mother Wolf, these ones we were doing on the tour, Mother Wolf, Take the Bus, I can't remember. Chasing Rabbits. These are all songs that, again, they're like, well, they're like over 10 years old, but to us, they're kind of still the new songs because that's when we stopped. That's when our musical evolution sort of arrested until this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people that would love a new Slip album. And BARR BROTHERS too. I mean, I'm excited to hear it all. I'm really excited for the solo album because that's just you, and it's I like to get that feel from those songs.
The other thing about that record is it's not that it's only me who kind of wrote and recorded and produced it, but it's really just one me. There's no like studio production in terms of overdubs and like me trying to build something with synthesizers and many guitars and beats or anything. It's just one guitar player at any given time, which is sort of the mandate and the challenge. Also, the people that originally contacted me to write some new music was a theater company out of New York called the All for One Theater, who do exclusively one-person shows. And the guy the head of that company knew my previous solo instrumental record called The Fall Apartment. He said it's come to him somehow years ago, and he liked it and was hoping he could inspire me to write a sort of, volume 2, and also that he wanted to pay me to write the tracks because their theater company needed a bunch of music that they could use freely instead of having to. It said at the end of the year that they've paid, such and such amount in licensing music. Why don't we just hire and support a musician to write a new body of work? So that was also right kind of the beginning of the pandemic, and really was a great fortunate thing to happen. But yeah, so I wanted to keep it in the spirit of one person. I wanted to keep it make it able to be performed by one person without having like a sampling unit up there or a laptop.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. What's the name? What's it called again?
The Winter Mission, which is my attempt at a pun, because The Fall Apartment was the fall apartment. I wanted to keep the sort of seasonal habitat theme running. And of course, we'd had this intermission in our lives, and I was making the music for a theater company. It seemed clever at the time, and it was the winter when I was making the majority of that music. It all seems very clever now. It's never a good idea to use a pun in an album title, whether it's your band name or an album title or a pun. Seems like a great idea at first, but
I love it. Where's the name The Slip come from?
Well, in fact, The Slip, if you want to know the full story, I'll try and do this without taking up too much time. The Slip was when I showed up at my high school. It was called Tabor in 1991. The Slip was actually a band at that school that had been formed the year before I got there. Mostly seniors who would graduate that year, but the guitar player, the most musical, sort of most virtuosic and accomplished member of the band was a guitar player who happened to be in my class. So when everyone graduated and John stayed, he was like, well, why don't you guys join The Slip and it'll be us? So we're like, all right, let's do it. So, and back then in our high school, like The Slip was a big deal to the to the, few hundred of us there. I mean, you kind of scale to this, your world is your scale. And to me at that time in that place, didn't matter that nobody heard of the band outside of that school. It was like, all right, yeah, of course we want to be the Slip. So we kind of joined forces and became the Slip as its first incarnation. And then when we graduated, my brother who had been in the Slip, who also was in the Slip at the high school, he and Mark were in the same class. They started playing together a lot after I graduated. They were there for 2 more years. By the time they graduated, the 3 of us moved to Boston together. Also, Mark, Andrew, and I were the high school jazz band. Like the 3 of us, as the Slip, as we are now, we're also the 3 members of the high school jazz band. So we had actually been playing together during the whole time that the Slip was another thing. So, but long story short, the name The Slip came from apparently a drawing that one of the other members had made in 1991. And we were like, well, can't change the name. Can't change the name now. Everybody knows the name of The Slip. You can't just rebrand. So that's it.
That's the one. That's awesome. Well, Brad, thank you so much for doing this. This has been an honor for me. Like I said, been a huge fan my entire life, and this was something I really look forward to doing. So this was awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm really happy, and thank you. I do appreciate getting the spotlight put on me for a minute. Thank you so much.
Right on. I hope to see you sometime soon in New Brunswick or anywhere else on the road.
Yeah. Say hi to all our friends over there. I guess Greg Hemmings probably is. I'm sure he's a buddy, and all those guys. Tell them we say hi.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, man.
Take it easy, Chris.
Take care.
You too.